Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we take another deep dive into Tubi. And let's get to the list. Two siblings become increasingly frightened by their grandparents' behavior while visiting them on vacation. I've heard about this movie for a long time, but just for whatever reason, I never got around to checking it out. But when I saw that it dropped on Tubi this week, I was like, all right, now's the time. I definitely want to check it out before it leaves Tubi. And I'm so glad that I did, because now I'm not saying I would put it above Split or Signs or The Sixth Sense, but somewhere right below those, I definitely would put this because it's really well done. It's well written. The acting is outstanding. And it isn't a super crazy twist like a lot of his movies where the whole thing hinges on that. This is a good movie, period. It does have, but this felt more like Knock at the Cabin in a way because the twist, so to speak, is not what this whole movie's about. It's a well-made movie, an enjoyable movie. It's creepy, entertaining, and downright scary at times. So if you haven't been a big fan of M. Night's movies recently and so just never gave this one a shot, I think you'd be surprised because it's really good and it's one that I highly, highly recommend. My Soul to Take is a 2010 slasher horror movie. Written and directed by Wes Craven, it stars Max Thoreau, Emily Mead, and Jessica Hetch. A serial killer returns to his hometown to stalk 7 teens who share the same birthday as the day that he supposedly died.
The Ripper was killed 16 years ago today, the very night that 7 of us here were born. Some say we share more than just a birthday.
So it is really crazy because I don't know why, but I just did not know this movie existed. I had no idea that there was a Wes Craven movie like this that I hadn't seen, especially a teen slasher kind of movie. So that just really kind of goes to show you how under the radar this movie's been. Because I got it completely mixed up with Soul Survivor. So every time I saw this movie listed on things, I just thought it was Soul Survivor and never checked it out. And even though Soul Survivor came out in 2001 and this came out in 2010, for some reason, just the names and the fact they're both kind of teen slashers, I just got the two of them mixed up and I just had no idea that Wes Craven did this. It's really weird. I can't believe that I went this long without realizing that. But recently, a friend of mine brought it to my attention, was like, hey, have you seen this movie? It's by Wes Craven. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe that I had no idea about this movie. So when I saw that it was on Tubi, I had to check it out. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna say this movie's a game changer by any means. I'm not saying this is even really a good movie. By a lot of people's standards, it's not a good movie. But I'll tell you what, I had so much fun with this movie. It was like this nostalgic feeling, because even though it came out in 2010, it feels much more like an early 2000s movie. And it's full of tropes, and it's silly, and the dialogue is hokey. The teen relationships and the teens in general don't really act like real teens. Like a lot of the same issues that a lot of people have with those teen drama slasher horror movies that we saw so rampant after Scream. But the story of it and the way that it's done, it just has enough unique qualities about it. And on top of that, there's just something really fun, nostalgic, and like this warm, comfortable pair of pajamas in the wintertime. I don't know how to explain it, but I had a great time with it. So if you're someone like me that enjoys a lot of those early 2000s, trashy horror movies, and you go into this with lowered expectations, I think you might really have fun with it. So definitely add it to your list.
Who are you?
Devil is a 2010 supernatural horror movie. Directed by John Eric Dowdle, it stars Chris Messina, Logan Marshall Green, and Jenny O'Hara. The plot's about a group of people who are trapped on an elevator with the devil mysteriously amongst them.
This is not good.
This is one of my favorite hidden gem movies. It's one that you just don't hear talked about almost at all, like very rarely. It's one of those movies that when you do hear someone talk about it, if you've seen it, you get all excited. You're like, oh, Devil, that's a fantastic movie. And then you go on and talk about, some spoilers and things that happen in it. And it's because it's so good, and yet it just really flies under the radar. But it's full of mystery, and even though it's mostly a dialogue movie where it's just this group of people trapped in an elevator, it never gets boring, it never feels slow. It keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time as you just try to figure out the big picture and what's really going on here. It's also co-written and produced by M. Night Shyamalan, and even though he didn't direct this, it very much has an M. Night Shyamalan feel about it. And so a lot of people, like myself, consider this to be an M. Night Shyamalan movie, even though technically it's not. But it's one of his best, at least that he was involved in. So this is a real gem that deserves to be seen by more people. So if you've never seen this, do yourself a favor and check it out.
Monkeys.
12 Monkeys is a 1995 sci-fi thriller. Directed by Terry Gilliam, it stars Bruce Willis, Madeleine Stowe, and Brad Pitt. In a future world devastated by disease, a convict is sent back in time to gather information about the man-made virus that wiped out most of mankind.
You're a very good observer, Cole.
We have a very advanced program, something very different.
An opportunity to reduce your sentence considerably.
And possibly play an important role in returning the human race to the surface of the Earth.
So this is one of my absolute favorite sci-fi thrillers. It's not really horror, but it does have some horror elements and scenes that are intriguing to most horror fans. But it's a wild, futuristic story, and it really holds up. I watched it not too long ago, and I was surprised because, yes, some of the special effects and stuff are dated a little bit, but for the most part, things are done practically, and the acting is so well done. I really love Brad Pitt's performance in this. He's just so over the top, just absolutely bananas. But at the core, it's really a mystery, and it keeps you intrigued and guessing and trying to figure out who the culprit is, who causes this virus outbreak, and all of this stuff, because Bruce Willis's character goes back in time to sort this out and try to see if he can figure out who causes this man-made virus that wipes out mankind. But I think this movie is an absolute blast, and if it's one you haven't seen in a while, or if for whatever reason you've never checked it out, I think it's high time that you do, because you'll definitely have a good time with it. Mama is a 2013 supernatural horror movie, directed and co-written by Andy Muschietti in his directorial debut. It stars Jessica Chastain, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, and Megan Charpentier. After a young couple take in their two nieces, they suspect that a supernatural spirit named Mama has latched onto their family.
Victoria and Lily were found in deplorable conditions. Their parents gone, alone in the wilderness for at least 5 years.
Hey, Victoria.
How they survived is unexplainable.
So this was another first time watch for me. And as much as I wanted to love this, because I really enjoyed the story of it, I really enjoyed the acting, there's so much to love about this movie, but because the CGI is just so heavy-handed, I could only enjoy it so much. But I still think that it's one that most people would be entertained by. The thing I did really love about it, though, was how it has this real fantasy, almost like old nursery rhyme kind of feel about it. And that kind of separates it from a lot of other supernatural movies. Like I said, there's a lot of good here. There's a lot you can enjoy. You just got to look past the CGI. But I think if you do, you'll be pleasantly surprised. So I definitely think it's worth your time. The Midnight Meat Train is a 2008 mystery horror thriller, directed by Ryuhei Kitamura and based on the Clive Barker 1984 short story of the same name. It stars Bradley Cooper, Vinnie Jones, and Leslie Bibb. A photographer's obsessive pursuit of dark subject matter leads him into the path of a serial killer who stalks and kills late-night commuters.
I follow them into the subway. He butchers them like cattle. They never find the remains because he unloads the meat somewhere.
This is such a badass movie. It's one of my favorite Clive Barker adaptations because it doesn't have that over-the-top sci-fi element, at least for the most part, that a lot of his other adaptations have. But it does have that dark, seedy underbelly side that so much of his stuff has. This is also well directed, and I really enjoy the way it's shot. Just the way it shows the city and the commuters, I think, is really well done. But Vinnie Jones is the real star to me in this. He's so creepy and disturbing and just does such a great job with this role. But I think this is a really fun one that takes some twists and turns and does some things you're not going to expect. This is such a cool little movie that gets savage and twisted. It's definitely one I recommend.
It's all about facing the beast.
Oh my God.
The one in here.
Hemlock Grove is a 2013 horror series, produced by Eli Roth and developed by Brian McCreevy and Lee Shipman. It stars Bill Skarsgård, Landon Liberon, and Famke Janssen. Secrets are just part of daily life in the small Pennsylvania town of Hemlock Grove, where the darkest evils hide in plain sight.
There are things that look like you and me, but they are not.
So I think this is a fantastic little series that's really kind of slipped through the cracks. Because it was on Netflix, it never really got a lot of publicity. It did last 3 seasons, so some people have seen it. It wasn't like it completely, vanished, but it never got the love that I think it should. And I don't know why exactly that is. I think maybe a lot of horror fans just thought it was kind of a teen, drama with a little bit of horror sprinkled in, but it's not. It gets twisted, and in a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of Twin Peaks. It just has that eerie vibe, that uncomfortable creepiness. And especially with a lot of series I see right now doing so well, like From, which I am in the middle of watching and very much enjoying that so far. But it's got a lot to it, especially looking at it now with Bill Skarsgård becoming such a star, and he's Pennywise, and he's fantastic in this, but so is Landon Liberon and Famke Janssen. Just the whole cast is really enjoyable in this. But it goes in a lot of directions that really kept me invested the entire 3 seasons. I wish it had lasted longer, but it still gets a lot done in those 3 seasons. So if you've never seen this, I highly, highly recommend you check it out.
This time you're going to lose. William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist 3.
The Exorcist 3 is a 1990 psychological horror movie. Written and directed by William Peter Blatty, it stars George C. Scott, Jason Miller, and Brad Dourif. A police lieutenant uncovers more than he bargained for, as his investigation of a series of murders have all the hallmarks of a deceased serial killer, which leads him to question a patient in a psychiatric ward.
He is inside with us! He will never get away!
So with The Exorcist requel coming out later this year, done by David Gordon Green, who most recently did the Halloween series, I thought it was a good time for me to give my thoughts a little bit anyway about Exorcist. So I do enjoy the original. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's a classic. I respect its place in history. There's so much to it, right? But I personally, my own personal feelings, my own personal enjoyment, enjoyed this movie, Exorcist 3, the most of that franchise. And it's a real shame because I think as bad as Exorcist 2 was, it really hurt this movie. And so Exorcist 3 just never got the love that it truly deserves. Over time, I've heard more and more people talk about how great this movie is, but it just has never really gotten out to the masses. I know for the longest time, up until probably about 10 years ago, I never gave this movie a shot myself. I watched the first, loved it, watched the second, was like, this is trash, man, this is horrible. And so I just never went and bothered to check this one out. But when I did, I immediately fell in love with it. And so for the past 10 years or so, I've been talking about it to whoever will listen and telling them just how great this is. It's very different than the original Exorcist, though. This is much less of a possession movie and much more of like a crime drama, serial killer kind of investigation movie. But George C. Scott is incredible in this, and Brad Dourif gives probably my favorite performance he's ever done in this. He's just out of his mind and so enjoyable to watch. So even though a lot of you have probably already seen this, so this isn't news to you, I know there might be some of you out there that are young or just never really wanted to give this a time of day because you weren't even in love with the first Exorcist, or you didn't like the second and didn't move forward. Whatever the situation is, I think you would be shocked though at how much you enjoy this. And I think it's an absolute must-see for any fan of horror.
Who knows? Maybe we'll end up being best friends.
Come here. Come to daddy.
Come to Daddy is a 2019 black comedy thriller. Directed by Ant Timpson, it stars Elijah Wood, Stephen McHattie, and Ona Grier. A man in his 30s travels to a remote cabin to reconnect with his estranged father.
Yeah. It's me. Norm. I got your letter?
I never thought I'd see you again.
Man, what a blast this movie is. The first time I saw it, I was just over the top in love with this movie because it's funny, it's exciting, it's really wild, and it goes in so many different directions and does so many things I did not expect at all. So I highly recommend going into this as blind as possible. Don't go and look into any more than what I'm going to show you here. Don't watch the full trailer. Just try to not know much about it because I went into this completely blind and had so much fun with it. I mean, as much as I love Stephen McHattie and Pontypool, I think I enjoy him even more in this. The character he plays in this, he's full on a character, just absolutely bonkers. And it's the kind of comedy I really love, especially when it comes to a thriller horror movie, where it's not necessarily overtly funny, but it's situational humor that you just can't help but have fun with. But this gets violent and gory and just wild in so many different ways. I think you'll really enjoy it, so absolutely add this one to your list.
It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault!
As Above, So Below is a 2014 found footage horror movie. Written and directed by John Eric Dowdle, it stars Perdita Weeks, Marion Lambert, and Ben Fieldman. When a team of explorers venture into the catacombs under Paris, they discover the dark secret that lies within the city of the dead.
370 feet beneath this point is a hidden chamber that might contain a critical missing piece of our history.
How are we supposed to get down there?
The catacombs.
So I've been a fan of this movie ever since I saw it in theaters. I just love it because as far as found footage movies go, this is one of my absolute favorites because it doesn't do the shaky cam, the really bad footage kind of thing, because in this situation, they're trying to kind of film a documentary. So it's not like a lot of found footage movies that they recorded it on some home video or it's done on security cam. It's not like that. And as much as I enjoy a lot of that found footage stuff, I'm not trying to talk shit about that. But I'm just saying, as far as found footage goes, I prefer this because you can actually see and hear what's going on, and yet it still makes sense that they would be filming this, you know, so it has at least that kind of realism element as well. But this is so mysterious and creepy. I love that unknown quality where you really feel like you're with this group of explorers that are little by little going deeper and deeper into this mystery and into this catacombs and starting to see more and more wild things happening that they can't explain. But this is just a fun movie that you can't take too serious. It's not one to overthink, because if you do, I'm sure you'll find some plot holes and things that don't quite add up. But if you go into it just with lowered expectations, just in for a good time, go along with the ride, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. So do yourself a favor this weekend and pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! All right, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching this and for all of your support. I really enjoy the lives we've been doing. I'm trying to do those every Friday now. But if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel and when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week. And I also want to give a huge massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys are literally keeping me going, feeding me and putting gas in my car so I can keep doing this channel, and I appreciate you all so much. And if you would like to find out how you can help support the channel on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. Or if you want to be a channel member, there's a button right down there that says join. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun. If you enjoyed this, click right here to watch 10 brilliant movies over on Shudder. That list anyway. And I'll see you guys next time.